Southern Russia and Kazakhstan are battling rising floodwaters. Tens of thousands of people have been forced to leave their homes. Melting snow has caused the Ural River to surge and flood defences to collapse around the city of Orenburg. A rescue operation has begun, but locals say not enough was done to prevent the flooding.
A wall of icy water rushing towards homes. Here in Kazakhstan, tens of thousands of people have already evacuated. And still more are packing up what they can to flee ahead of the record high floods.
I'm afraid. I hope it'll end and we'll be safe. In my 57 years, it's the first time I've seen water come into my home.
Upstream in Russia, the Ural River has burst its banks, flooding parts of Orenburg, home to more than 500,000 people.
As of Thursday morning, the watermark in the Ural River is more than 10.5 meters high. That's the highest level ever measured.
Annual spring floods have been made worse by torrential rain and record high temperatures that have melted ice and snow. The disaster has triggered public anger as affected residents ask for better compensation and more help from Russia's leaders. Some residents of Orenburg say local officials could have done more to prepare the city. The authorities say the flooding here will peak soon, but in other regions in Russia, they're warning that rivers will continue to rise for the coming days or weeks.
Well, Dmitry Ponyavin is following this story from our Russia bureau in Riga. DW has been reporting from the Latvian capital since Russia closed down our Moscow bureau. Welcome. Give us an update, please.
So today evacuations continued, as mentioned in the report, across the Orenburg and several adjacent regions. That's the area, roughly speaking, about 1,500 kilometers southeast of Moscow. This area adjacent to between, let's say, European part of Russia and Western Siberia. We understand that local officials and experts are calling these floods the largest in the past 80 years. And the disaster that has been declared in the state of emergency in those affected regions have been declared as a nationwide state of disaster. So that's why the Federal Ministry of Emergencies is taking care of the response, and it says it has enough resources to respond to the situation, but it remains dire in many parts of the affected regions. There is not enough drinking water, electricity is not working, and there have been numerous reports of looting. So people in those areas that where help doesn't come or comes too little or too late, they say they're quite desperate.
And I understand President Putin hasn't been to the region, but has been speaking to governors of the regions affected.
Well, it is basically one of the carefully choreographed appearances used on state TV, where Putin is sitting in front of screens and talking to governors and ministers from the government online. Of course, today they promised compensations and some payments to people in those affected areas, but it remains to be seen how much of that aid will actually get to them. And what's interesting, as you mentioned, that his spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said on Tuesday that Putin is not going to visit, and it's just another big event in Russia that Putin chooses to ignore. And the last time we saw him speaking to common Russians on the ground was after the mutiny by private company Wagner and his boss Yevgeny Prigozhin in Russia last year, when he met people in Dagestan. So far as with the recent terror attack in Moscow, he preferred to stay away from talking to people there.
And so what are people saying about the way the government has handled this crisis?
Well, the floods are not untypical for these regions. They have a lot of snow usually in the winter, so when the spring comes, the snow melts and there was a lot of rain. So it was in a way expected. What may have contributed, or actually it was announced that it was contributed, the dam broke nearby the city of Orenburg. That's the second largest in the Orenburg region. It broke down over the weekend, despite all claims by the local government that it would hold the line. So a lot of people in those regions say that this contributed, so authorities may have prepared better for this disaster, and also they say they're not getting enough help. But for now, we have seen that the criticism has been mostly directed at the local level, and it seems like President Putin, for now, has escaped widespread criticism, at least what we see on the social media and comments there in the public sphere in Russia.
OK, thanks, Dmitry. DW's Dmitry Ponyavin in Riga. Well, Maria Shahgedanova is Professor of Climate Science at the University of Reading in the UK. Welcome to DW, Professor. What's caused these record-breaking floods?
What caused these record-breaking floods would be climatic variability. Weather and climate tend to oscillate naturally from year to year, and some years are more snowy, if you want, than the others. So this year we had particularly a lot of snowfall and snow accumulation, which exceeded the norm by 30 to 60%. So there was a lot of snow to begin with, and then we saw very rapid warming. So within just a few days, temperature went from sub-zero values to something like 17, 18 degrees, and so that caused very, very rapid melt of this large mass of snow which accumulated over winter.
OK. Increased rainfall, rapid melting snow, but you said it's within the... You said it's exceeded the norm, but you seem to imply that it's much as you would expect for this time of year within a given range.
We expect floods in spring in Russia, and about 50% of all floods are related to snow melt. Another 35% would be related to snow, and another 15% to ice jams on large rivers. So by themselves, floods in spring are not unusual, and but this year they were of extraordinary extent. So previously we had similar floods in this part of the world in 1922, then in 1942, 1957, and the highest water level so far was observed in 1942, but this year it was exceeded by about 1 meter from the previous record. So floods are not extraordinary in spring, but this one was extraordinary in its extent.
Right, so given what you've said, it sounds odd that so many, we're talking about tens of thousands of people having to leave their homes. This is an area that is used to flooding, but it seems to have caught authorities unaware.
Weather forecasts were in place. Hydrometeorological services, both in Russia and in Kazakhstan, gave good warning in good time that there is a lot of snow, and we should expect these very extensive floods. And they did forecast its warming as well. So weather warning was in place, but translating weather warning into actions will be inevitably difficult. And as far as I understand, the dam didn't hold the river so far because the water levels were so high, and that would cause a breach of dam, and then this extraordinary misery which people experienced.
And you talked about the extraordinary and the unusually fast rate of melting snow this year. How does that relate to these 10 months, I think it is, of continuing record-breaking temperatures? Do those two things go together?
There's is no projection of increasing floods for this part of the world. But if we look at changing climate and climatic warming, what we may expect that these floods will happen earlier, and if temperature will be increasing earlier and faster, not throughout the years, but just in this springtime, then yes, we might be in a lot more danger in years to come.
OK, thank you for that, Professor. Professor Maria Shahgedanova from Reading University.